After 5 years of immense destruction, World War II finally ended in 1945. This war caused unprecedented losses in history, with nearly 75 million people losing their lives, including at least 40 million civilians. The war witnessed numerous atrocities, including war crimes, genocide, and violations of human rights. Among these, the Holocaust carried out by the German Nazi forces, where they brutally persecuted Jews, left the world shocked. As a result, after the war, the victorious Allied powers decided to bring the Nazi forces and their collaborators to justice. However, there was no consensus on how to carry out these trials. Nevertheless, the Allies agreed that exemplary punishments must be ensured to prevent such inhumane acts in the future. The United States, Britain, France, and the Soviet Union jointly decided, after long discussions, to conduct the trials through a transparent process. Although the Allies could have imposed punishments on German war criminals at will, they chose to establish an international court in Nuremberg, Germany. This city, from where Hitler had planned his atrocities, became the site of the famous Nuremberg Trials. Over the course of a year, individuals were tried and sentenced for 4 types of crimes. In today's discussion, we'll delve into the details of the Nuremberg Trials. On May 8, 1945, Germany officially surrendered to the Allies. Following this, questions arose in the political and public spheres of the Allied nations regarding what kind of punishments should be imposed on the Nazi forces. At the time, leaders of Britain and Russia suggested outright execution of the Nazis. France expressed similar intentions. However, the United States proposed that the criminals should be punished through a fair judicial process, presenting strong arguments for this approach. It was evident that the Treaty of Versailles imposed on Germany after World War I had indirectly fueled World War II by angering ordinary German citizens. Hence, if German war criminals were punished without trials, the German people might again harbor misconceptions that the Allies acted out of mere vengeance. Eventually, the U.S. proposal gained acceptance. On August 8, 1945, the 4 Allied nations signed an agreement to establish the International Military Tribunal, which later initiated trials against German war criminals. However, conducting such an international trial came with its challenges. Never before in history had a tribunal of this nature been organized. After much deliberation, it was decided that instead of a single judge, a panel comprising judges from the 4 Allied nations would oversee the trials. The process would be conducted by a tribunal, with Robert H. Jackson, a U.S. Supreme Court justice, serving as the chief prosecutor. The tribunal was quickly arranged, and Nuremberg was chosen as the venue due to its historical significance. This trial became famously known as the Nuremberg Trials. By October 1945, the crimes for which the accused would be tried were formally announced. The trials adopted judicial procedures similar to those of Britain and the United States, allowing the accused to appoint their own lawyers. However, a major challenge arose since the participants, judges, lawyers, and the accused, spoke different languages. This issue was resolved through IBM's translation system, where translators provided simultaneous translations, enabling everyone to understand the proceedings through headphones. This technique is still widely used today in international organizations like the United Nations and the European Union. The Nuremberg trials prosecuted 4 specific crimes. Firstly, crimes against peace, including planning and executing aggression against foreign nations in violation of international treaties. Secondly, crimes against humanity, involving extermination, deportation, and genocide, particularly in concentration camps where Jews and even some Germans opposing the Nazi regime were tortured and killed. Thirdly, war crimes, encompassing violations of war norms by Nazi forces. Lastly, conspiracies to commit any of these crimes. Adolf Hitler, Joseph Goebbels, and Heinrich Himmler, key architects of these atrocities, had committed suicide and thus were not part of the trials. However, other prominent Nazis, such as Martin Bormann, tried in absentia, Hermann Göring, Rudolf Hess, Joachim von Ribbentrop, and Karl Donitz, faced trial. On November 20, 1945, the Nuremberg trials formally began. Of the 24 major defendants, 21 appeared in court, and evidence was presented, including photographs, videos, and documents retrieved from concentration camps and Nazi headquarters. The accused could not deny their crimes. The first phase of the trials concluded on October 1, 1946, after 216 court sessions. Of the 24 defendants, 22 were sentenced, with 12 receiving the death penalty, 7 various prison terms, and 3 acquitted. 2 defendants could not be tried, one due to illness and the other committing suicide. Even Hermann Göring, sentenced to death, took his own life before the execution. While the first phase focused on top Nazi leaders, subsequent trials from 1946 to 1949 brought German doctors, industrialists, and others who supported the Nazi regime to justice. These efforts aimed to deter such crimes in the future, serving as a lesson for generations to come. The Nuremberg Trials remain a cornerstone in international law and are studied worldwide by law students to this day.